Hi everybody. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to work on now the African mask. So you'll need some supplies. In terms of supplies, you'll need the milk carton, which you need to draw out the face onto the shape that you're going to cut out. And then you'll need a piece of computer paper and a pencil and a Sharpie to draw out the design. You'll need your strips of newspaper, and then possibly, I don't know if I'm going to use the white strips. I think I'm just going to use the newspaper on this particular mask, but I'm going to go ahead and get started with my design here now. Okay, so I have finished the design, the 2D design for my African mask, and I want it to look something like this. So it's got some tribal markings on it, as well as I'm gonna be using yarn for hair. I'm gonna have to put a slit for a mouth, that's where I would breathe if I was wearing this. And then I'm gonna do 2 buttons as the eyes, and then I'm gonna put paper mache over it, and then I'm gonna be able to use my acrylic paint to kind of do some of the tribal markings. So here is this, and the next step in the process is I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out. Now what you need to do is ask a parent for help. The first thing, you have to take a knife and you have to make an indentation before you use your scissors, or you can, so you can move to the scissors like this. Now you have a little opening. The milk carton is fairly easy to cut because it's not very thick. And now I have my face. How cool is that? All right. So now what I'm gonna do is cut out a little mouth, because I need an area to breathe.
So I think I'm just gonna get rid of a little portion of it. Kind of like that. Just fold it up to you, so I'm gonna get a little mouth portion.
There we go. Okay, so I think that's kind of how I want it to look. All right, so now I have that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and make my plaster. Okay, if you remember from the last video, I added about 1/2 cup of flour, maybe almost like 2/3 of a cup, and then I did about a tablespoon or two, about 2 tablespoons of glue, and I'm gonna add my water and I'm gonna mix it in. Okay, so we've got the consistency that we need. You need it kind of like a shake, a milkshake. That's about the consistency. And remember, I used flour, white flour, and I used glue and water to make my paste or my plaster that I'm gonna use with my strips. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get started with putting my strips onto my mask. It's you want to add the strips mainly so you get rid of the look of the fact that this is a milk carton. You want it to look a little bit more like a mask. So don't forget that a tool like this is really helpful. It has a little wood stick and then it has a sponge on the end. You can get this at Michael's for super cheap.
I'm gonna stop the video for just a second. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. It doesn't matter if you go off the edge with your paper mache because you're gonna, once it dries, you can cut that off, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop here. So this is what I have so far. You can see how it's starting to look less like a milk carton and more like a mask, which is why it's so important to cover it with paper mache. So we're gonna let that dry overnight, and then the next class we'll be able to paint that. Also, if you wanna have ears, let's say you wanna create an ear here and an ear here, what you would need to do is cut it out with some cardboard, and then I would just duct tape it to the back, make sure that it's facing up, and then you would cover the ears with paper mache. Okay, so you want to create your form first and then cover everything with paper mache so it looks like it's one piece. Once it's one piece and it dries, then you can paint it and you can add your other pieces. So we're going to add our buttons here, we're going to create a little bit bigger of a mouth, and then we're going to add our hair. Okay?